I'm gonna take assessment from the sisters. It's easy, I'm of the belief that in our history we omit the Black women. They have been the one constant in our community since the very beginning. And what I want to do is have the opinion of a few sisters of what's going on in our community, or what has gone in our community, and how we can improve it, and how they see our community. But before we do that, I'm going to start the show like I start every other show. I want to send homage to my ancestors and my family. Without them, there is no me. So what I do every show is I acknowledge them by saying hello and acknowledge the fact that I appreciate them. That is everyone that is connected to the Whitmore, Pollard, Turner, Battle, Cotton, Harper, Bailey, Cripps, Lansdowne, Liggins, Duncan, and Williams family, of course. This is a podcast. This is called Building the Story. We are on Built for This Network. I am HRap, and if you are unable to watch live, as I say every week, you can reach us on Spreaker.com, Built for This Network, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, or wherever you download your podcast from. Now, the ladies are coming in. I am slowly going to activate their cameras, and one of the ladies is coming in short. Well, that's everybody. One of the ladies will be coming in. I have one more guest. I have Rhonda, I have Sean, and I have Anita. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. It's going to be a pleasure. Thank you for giving me some of your time. And let's just jump right into this. Again, as I stated a second ago, this is the women. I personally believe, I don't know how you guys feel. I'm going to start there. How do you guys feel about how women are represented in Black history, or Nubian history, or people of color history, or whatever you want to categorize us as? How do you see it? I'm going to start with Rhonda, go to Sean, then I'll come to you, Benita. Proceed, Rhonda, please.
I don't think that, and this is just my opinion, that we're as our story isn't told as much as it could be. And even when our story is told as Black women or women of color, you hear the story about the same women, Harriet Tubman, Mahalia Jackson, Madam C.J. Walker, Cicely Tyson, because she just recently passed away, Mary McLeod Bethune. But there are other Black women that even I'm learning who have made contributions and aren't always recognized.
Okay. So you, Sean.
So
Sean, it's on you.
So I think we've been slighted. We've been shortchanged, and like she said, there are a lot of women that you have just never heard of. You get the same names even from when I was a kid in grammar school. Harriet Tubman, Madam C.J. Walker, Rosa Parks. But it was plenty of women. That fought for us, not just as women, but as Blacks as a whole, and it's never mentioned.
Okay. I totally agree. Benita?
I don't think that we are slighted. I guess it depends on what you're talking about. Like, for instance, if you're talking about in the public school system, everybody's slighted when it comes to Black history. The men, the women. But if you're talking about us talking about each other or stories that were passed down, I think that women get just as much due as the men get, and women get just as much due as the brothers get. And I think that when you to hear you all say, I didn't think about it this way, but both of you all said that there's you hear the same names over and over again. Well, truth be told, you hear the same brother names over and over and over again too.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that I don't think that when it comes to the Black experience or the Black perspective, I really don't think that the women are left out. The only people who are leaving us out are the white supremacists, the people who create the school systems, the people who create the textbooks. Yes, they do leave us out.
from a man perspective, and obviously you guys pay more attention to this than me, so obviously you have a better perspective than I. The only reason I would disagree with you slightly, Benita, is this. What you said is there is no way to say, hey, you're wrong, or I don't disagree with you. What I would like to add to your opinion is this. Every once in a while, they'll creep another brother in there. You know what I mean? We know who Thurgood Marshall is. I would challenge, and I would agree with the public school system, but if you think about it, Benita, most people only go by what they learn in school. See, when you're dealing with the four people, the three women right here, you're three of the most astute people that I know. So I think you are using your life experience and your quest of knowledge versus other people's quest for knowledge. I don't think it's as strong. I think people go along with Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, George Washington never told a lie, and they go, that's what happened. and I think because you were so sharp and you're one of the sharp people, again, all three of you guys are equally sharp. I think because you're so sharp, one of the things that's a burden of intelligent people is we assume, and I don't mean to be saying that arrogantly, you would assume that everybody has your drive and everybody, like the average person who will be listening to this, don't know who. They think Dre 3000 from Outkast was the first person to say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right, Fannie Lou Hamer.
At a cookout, and most people be like, who was that, the auntie from Alabama? They like, nah, you know. So that's why I do believe, the reason I even had this is because I do believe women are slighted. Shirley Chisholm. Ask somebody who Shirley Chisholm is. Ask somebody who family is.
Right.
Like, I actually listen to people have a conversation about the Madam C.J. Walker movie or the series on Netflix, and they think Annie Malone was some type of insecure, color-struck woman, and she the one who put the lady on, and they stole her from her. She did all the stuff that Madam C.J. did equally, but if you watch that movie, you think that Madam C.J. Walker was this robust, domineering woman, and Annie Malone was a clown. And I just don't see it that way. And that's why that's the only thing I think when you are an informed person, when you are on top of your thing, you're on top of stuff, you will fall for the myth. Well, I don't even want to call it, but that's why you would assume, hey, everybody love being me. I love being me, and everybody else love being them. So why would they be slighted? It ain't no more different than the brothers. But I think you're right, hey man, because people don't know who Robert Reed is. People don't, they think he's daddy on the Brady Bunch. This dude helped fund Beale Street. This dude helped fund Black Wall Street. But if you don't know these things, you'll never find them out. That's why I would just add on to what you said. I think throughout the history of the world, women have been slighted, and that's from a man's perspective. It's like Dr. King and Coretta. You never hear about Coretta Scott King. You never hear about Betty Shabazz, and most people don't even know they formed a friendship after those two great men passed. And since they've transitioned, they left a hell of a legacy. But don't nobody know that. I watch a sports show on the regular. My man Shannon Sharp on the show, he said that Bernice King reached out to him personally, said, I'm gonna need you to start talking about my mama too.
Oh wow.
That's why I feel that way, Benita. But I mean, again, nobody's wrong or nobody, but I just think because if you're an intelligent, enlightened person, you go, because I find that, and again, I'm not trying to make myself be some genius, but when you're an intelligent and enlightened person and you're having a conversation with somebody and you like, what do you mean you don't know that? And
right.
I think that's what this is. Let's start off with this question. What does the whole, and we don't go the opposite way, Benita, Sean, and then Rhonda. Benita, what does Black History Month mean to you?
Life. And not just the month itself, but Black history.
Amen.
Like, who would I wouldn't be anybody without it. Like my father, he said to me when I was 8 years old, he's like, you're Black and don't you ever forget it. And then made sure that I read up on my history so that I can be proud and know who I am. And like you guys were talking about, like all of those women that keep being presented to us like that. That was the whole entire summer that I was turned 8 years old. I'm learning all of them. And so then when I made it to like the 5th grade and my teachers say, okay, we're going to learn about Black people tomorrow. And I was like, oh yeah, we finally going to get to, my classmates are going to see who and what and why I feel the way I feel about being a Black person, because my family, even though I was born in Chicago, we had moved to South Dakota at that time. And so there weren't any, we were the only Black family. So, but then it ended up being a paragraph on Martin Luther King and slavery. And I'm like, what? No, we have, there's so much more to us than that. And I learned so much more about us than that, literally like the summer before. So it caused me to be angry, frustrated, and to want to use Black history and use our ancestors and go dig them up and learn as much as I could about whoever, and then turn around and present those things to my classmates. And I just did it so much, like, and so it was like one of those, we were both learning at the same time because I was teaching. But so for me, it's life. Like I literally, it grounded my identity. It helped me to be proud of who I am. It helped me to love who I am. I didn't question who I was. I wasn't confused. I wasn't like, well, maybe. No, none of that. So if it wasn't for me being able to study Black history, I think I would be lost.
Man, that's dope. That's awesome. What about you, Sean?
I think, Black history, like she said, is life. It's a celebration of life, of knowing about Black excellence, especially in the time where I came up, where in school, it wasn't much Black history, if any at all. We may have learned at home, or what, stories my grandmother or great grandmother would tell us and stuff. We always heard about all of the white heroes, but you never really, even in TV or movies, and that's 80s, early 80s, late 70s, you never really saw positive Black images. So when I was introduced to Black history, with my family, and then we went to a elementary school in a predominantly Black neighborhood, and one day we got a new principal. We had a white principal, and then I guess he retired or got fired or whatever, and then one day we had a Black principal. And from that day forward, from the whole time that I was in that elementary school till I graduated from 8th grade, we had something in Black history that we learned. And it made me empowered. It gave me strength. I was going home telling my parents, like, hey, I heard this. And, I was excited and wanted to learn more. So even when I had my own children, I passed the same things down to them. I expected them to read books in Black history. I wanted my sons to read the Willie Lynch papers when they were 10. Like I wanted to have these conversations with them so they can understand. And not just the negative sides of it, but, hey, we invented this, we did that, not just the cotton gin. And, like we did a lot of stuff. And my kids, they thank me for that now. They, my sons are so pro-Black, it's like, they want to be, if they could be Black Panthers, they probably would, they all about it, and so I just love it. Like I say, it's celebrating Black excellence.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I haven't heard that term pro-Black in a very long time. It's like, hey man, it's always about the Rainbow Coalition, and not that I don't want to be inclusive, but that pro-Black thing kind of touched me right there. Rhonda?
Yeah, I mean, I believe in inclusion, but my bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Floor's yours.
Oh, I believe in inclusion. You can't. Civilization is what it is. It's all of us. So it's not just but in the aspect of Black history and Black excellence, we pro-Black. We love it. You gotta love it. You gotta show that love, and don't be afraid to show that love.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, I'm done.
Rhonda?
For me, it's about shedding light on the things that we've accomplished and contributed to this country. And it's more than, we've said it, everybody has said it here. It's more than, Martin Luther King and Daniel Hale Williams. There are other people that me specifically had never heard of or didn't know about their contributions or the things that they did, 60, 70 years ago and how it's impacting us today. And I think we need to express that more. There needs to be something, our kids, even though I don't have any, but, the young people, they need to know more than just the standard, who people talk about all the time. They need to, pick somebody in particular, no matter the industry, whether it's medical or technical, and learn more about them, because it's like no one came up with this idea or thought of this invention today. They're expounding on something that was invented or, somebody tried to get a patent for 70, 80 years ago, and we're using it. Someone else has elevated it, but they didn't come up with it today. So it's just, like I said, showing a light or shedding a light on our contributions as a people to this country.
You know what? I totally agree with all that. And the only thing I want to add to is I just want to enlighten you on this line. I'm not sure if you know about this. There isn't an African word for aunt or uncle. So those are your kids. The African tradition is that's why your aunt or your uncle, when you see these NBA players or these athletes or what have you, they're from the continent, they have like 8, 9, 10 names. That's because their aunts and their uncles, those are their names for them. So there is no aunts and uncles in our natural culture.
Okay.
So those are your kids. So, and that's another thing. That's what drives me with this show on Saturdays. Every Saturday to get on. I'm sleepy, I'm tired, I feel like doing it. Because every time I learn something, I want to share it with my folks. So yeah, man, that's what to put it short, in my perspective, Black history is world history. It's world history, because there is not a place on the face of the earth that we don't represent, that they're not doing something that we do. Even like something as simple as just being a history nerd. I'm proud of it. Up all night on YouTube and looking at pictures. If you go to some of those ancient Chinese statues, those people have full lips and they have kinky hair on their statues. Nobody really tells you about that.
Right.
So, when you look at them, you go, but you have to be dumb enough to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Look at that. But
no, it's the search for knowledge. It's not dumb.
Right.
It's the search for
knowledge. Knowledge is there between some regular business hours too.
Right.
Up all night. But it's just, we have to. And what I want to do with Black History is exactly what the founder of Negro History Week, that morphed into Black History Month, Carter G. Woodson, wanted. He said, and I quote, because he was dissatisfied with the celebration of Black history for that week. Marcus Garvey's birthday. No, Frederick Douglass' birthday.
Frederick Douglass. Happy
birthday to ancestor Frederick Douglass as of tomorrow. He was dissatisfied with the way we represent it. The way we do it now, he is, figuratively rolling over in his grave, eyes rolling, just pissed, because he said, if you can celebrate your history in a month, it ain't worth being celebrated. So what I want to do with the tradition, I passed on to the brothers last week, I'm going to pass on to you, sisters, is let's at a minimum teach our kids and our kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, neighbors, one thing a week about Black history. Every week. That way, this is almost like, and what I said last week, and I was ignorant to what his thoughts. 7 days ago, I was ignorant to what I'm telling you today. What I want to do is, he said we should celebrate it every day, and obviously that's what we should do. But I said, I used the metaphor like a birthday. We celebrate our birthdays on whatever day it is. And the day after, we start talking about what we're going to do next year. So March 1st, we need to start talking about how we going to celebrate in 2022 everything that we've learned in 2021. Thoughts on that? Y'all got any thoughts on that?
Say that again.
Like a planning or a preparation for.
Just, we should Black History Month should be like the birthday of Black history. We should treat it like
Okay.
the whole month should be the birthday of Black history. And every day, just like we do our birthdays, next year I'm gonna throw this big giant party.
Right.
And then, like my birthday in August, September, oh yeah, I'm doing this next year. October, I'm doing this next year. November, I'm doing this year. All the way until the month of August, and then we celebrate the whole month of August. For me, we should do the same with Black History Month. What are your thoughts on it? Anybody can take the floor.
That's kind of
I
like what
think that's
Sean
a good
said.
idea.
So
Yeah,
a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
it's a celebration,
It is.
and plan it accordingly. Plan, even if you plan something for, okay, you planning it for next year or whatever, but you planning something for each day of the month of, and so they get
Right.
everybody thinking about it, get ideas
Right.
moving, and bringing up more Black history as the days go on. So I think that's an excellent idea.
And everybody may not think about the same person or people to contribute to the party. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
sounds good.
That's exactly what I was hoping for. Because it's easy to it's easy to learn something about us every day. I mean, the internet, computers, your remote control on your TV. We did that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking, well, actually, I didn't even realize the first question I asked. I was one of my questions. Why do you think women in general, because in North America, are so glossed over, especially the sisters? Rhonda, Benita, and then Sean.
I think because to some people, I'm just going to say some people, we're still viewed as less than. A woman has her place here in the home. They don't look at the fact that we are just as strong as a man that's going out there to support and provide and, stick up for those, our family and those around us. But when you couple being a woman and being a Black woman, some people view that as, oh no, that's a double no, we can't have that. And we're looked at a certain way. But you can't, you can't judge a book by its cover. You don't know what our journey is. You don't know what our motivation is. And it's not always to me about supporting our husband or our mates. It could be about a cause. It could be about, what's going on with your child and the school system. And now here you are at the forefront, leading the troops, to make sure that things are, that we're treated fairly, that our children are treated fairly. We have the same, it's a level playing field. So I think we've gotten glossed over, especially in corporate America, because I've been in corporate America for over 20 years. We walk in the room and there's a certain preconceived notion. Okay, I don't know what she's going to say, and looking at how we dress and how we speak, and don't even get me started on the natural hair thing. So there's always these preconceived notions about us as Black women. But like I said, you don't know our journey, our struggle, or our motivation. So I think, yeah, that's why we've been slighted, because some people feel that we have a place, and being in the front, leading, charging, that's to them is not our place.
Anita?
Well, I started off saying that I didn't feel like Black women are slighted in history. And I hear what you all are saying, like, well, Benita, maybe you feel that way because you read, or maybe you feel that way because I think Black people are slighted, most definitely. I really feel like I am the poster child or the banner carrier for fight for justice. I'm totally against white supremacy. Absolutely. I'm usually fighting that, talking about it, those kind of things. Like, when we gonna have this skate meeting? Like, I don't think that we should be shucking and jiving in the prison. I see the whole entire world as one big prison. And so all of us are slighted. And I realize that, you invited me here to describe and to talk about the slight of Black women, but I really do not think that the collective struggle of Black folk is maybe more recently, like within maybe the last 30 or 40 years. But if you're looking at history, Black men and Black women, they did that together. Like even throughout slavery, and the only time when they weren't doing it together is when they was forced, literally, like, we will kill you if you don't. But I mean, they was jumping over the broom. Booker T. Washington, when he wrote his book about Up From Slavery, and he said the first thing that they did after they were emancipated was his mom and him, the person who was married to his mother sent word, hey, come be over here. He was working and working and working, and then he sent word, hey, come stay with us. And they literally walked across the mountains, from Virginia to West Virginia, or West Virginia to Virginia, whatever. They walked to him, and then he helped to take care of them. That was something that they did together. So I don't think that we're slighted. I think that in particular. But when we go back to what Rhonda was saying, that's why I kind of was like, because when Rhonda's talking about having to have the interview here in order to get the job, or having to work 10 times harder in order to be seen, having to, especially in corporate America, like you sitting there in the room with a white man who only has to show up mediocrity, and then you have to be like 50, 100 times better than him just to prove that you do have it. So yeah, I get you there. 100% I get you there. But if we're talking about Black history, I feel like those who have authored the books have done a pretty good job of including us as much as they have the brothers. So, to my sister Sean.
It's on you, Sean.
I really had to toss that question back and forth too. Because I do agree with both of these ladies here. As women in general, I think all women have been glossed over. I think there is a certain expectation, like a Victorian principle, that we supposed to live by. And for Black women, even coming up through slavery till modern times, it was always different than it was for white women. White women could live by all four Victorian principles. Black women, we just had to basically raise the kids and try to, keep the house going. We didn't have if unfortunately, like she said, in the last 60, 70, maybe 70 years, we have been moved away from just being the housewife and the mother and working to being in the house with husbands, because you see so many Black homes, Black women with no husbands there. And we've been kind of slighted over that, because when they needed the help back in the 60s and the 70s, when welfare started coming into the homes and all of that, then the husband couldn't be there, the father couldn't be there, so that's leaving the Black woman to have to be tough, raise these kids, go to work, try to get through everything. And so many years of that has gone by that it's almost common nature now. Like it's something that's almost expected when a young lady. So yeah, I feel like we've been slighted through history, from slavery, where we was looked at as chattel, and all they could touch us and do what they wanted with us and take our kids and split us up, split our families up, all the way through now. And I think we are expected as Black women to be strong and just deal with it and just keep doing it. So I feel like we have been slighted. Blacks as a whole have been slighted, because that separated us. That separated our men from our women, our families, our children from their father. So as a whole, yes. But I feel like we had to deal with it a lot more, because unfortunately, you see it now, the dads just go head on. It ain't, they're not expected to do nothing. As a woman, I expect my husband or I'm not saying that about my boys. I expect them they got kids, you're going to be there and take care of these kids. But society as a whole, for how they looking at us and how we are, yeah, the Black woman is struggling. They're struggling with that. Yeah, we might be educated and all, but.
And you know what, Benita, I want to apologize to you, because one of the principles of Africana studies is, how do you see you? And the question I asked is a white facing media thing. how do white folks see us? So you're right. The struggle is equal. We've all been slighted. But I'm just saying, from my perspective as a man, watching a single mom grow up with two daughters at 16 and 17, a husband that wasn't helping as much, and then she left him alone, met my father, and then watch him die in the bed right next to her. Now I come along, and then a couple years later, your dad died. A couple years after that, your mom died. Now you got to help your sister, your brother. I think women in general should be championed more. And that's really more the question. Why aren't women in general, especially sisters, because and you can respond if you like, but because it was the sisters that was telling a young robust black boy to calm down, because if he was too robust, that's he was going to get sent down the road. It's women who had to create a trigger mentality, a self trigger, that if your son excelled at something early, no, he's a problem. He's a problem. So again, he wouldn't get shipped down the road. It was women who had to take on the monicum of dead wench and be somebody's wife and still hold your head up and be able to go do a job and take care of your kids. So that's the perspective I'm looking at it. But I definitely, with your answer, it enlightened me on how white facing, for no better term, that question is. So I apologize. You can respond if you like or whatever.
What has come to mind, or what I would like to say is, during the Jim Crow era, eyes on the prize, all the wives, all the chicken lunches with the knapsack, you think of all of that, or I think of like the Black Panthers, like the Elaine Browns and the Taste. I think about like Angela Davis. I think about Nikki Giovanni's. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about that kind of stuff, and that's the reason why it's hard for me, right? But then I'm also thinking about how what really helped us was our whole family unit. Like if it's a race and they've ran the race and they're like 200 laps ahead of us, the only thing that's going to help us to even come close to catching up is if we start to run a relay race. And I think that I couldn't do it without I'm not an island. I'm not here on earth by myself. I absolutely 100% need for instance, today a man laying in the bed next to me, and I didn't have anybody to say, hey, can you put some air in my tire for me? So where'd I go? Next place where I know that they're gonna have a man standing there present who's going to put the air in the tire. And I know it's a real simple thing, and it's like, well, Benita, you could get out and put the air in your tire yourself. And I'm like, yeah, but it is 9 degrees outside and my fingers are cold, and that kind of thing. And so I guess what I'm saying is, throughout the struggle, we were there for each other, and it came to like this Kerner Commissioner report that came out in the 60s, real early 70s. That was immediately after all of the the King riots and that kind of thing. They was like, these people are getting this shit together. I'm sorry for cursing. These people are getting this together. And I thought about that when Sister Sean was talking. These people are getting this together, and we have got to figure out a way, because they have come too far with a little bit of time. So you think about it, in the 1940s, 1950s, we had only been free, air quotes free, because what is freedom. So we had only been there for not that long, not even 100 years yet.
Right.
So, or barely 100 years, 1865. So in 100 years, our people did so much. If you look on YouTube, there are videos that will say, hey, make sure that you don't discount the Black dollar. Black families actually have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They have and they said, you know, look at these, you know, maybe you should invest in commercials in the Ebony magazines and the Jet magazines, and our people read those magazines faithfully. Like we support each other
Mm-hmm.
so tough, so hard, because we had no other choice. It was like it was segregation, right? So but the families were strong too. So what the current commissioner report do was figured out in these very strategic planning ways. It said, hey, we're going to break up this Black family. And and like you said about the you know, making sure a man is not in the home so that you can get the public aid or whatever. But that's just one of the things. Like another one of the things is give the Black woman the money to get to school, but don't give it to the Black man. Just, I mean, there's like so many of those things where it's like a destructive line to keep us, to break us apart. So that's what comes to mind when I think of the struggle, when I think of our Black women slighted. I don't think that that by design, I guess.
But it's funny that you say that, because as you were talking about, you know, when welfare entered our world, it's like they created this environment, they created this scenario, and then however many years later, you're condemning the people that have lived off of the scenario that you created. You're condemning the Black man for not being in the home, and part of you is trying to condemn the Black woman because she needed to stand up and do what she needed to do and handle her business for her family, as well as try to go out and find a job because she didn't want her kids or herself to be on public aid for the rest of their lives. So it's like, but you created this, the government, you created this scenario, you created this situation. And it's like, I don't know what their thought process was behind it, but now you're condemning the people who benefited from the situation that you created. That part, I just don't, I don't
think
get
the
that.
thought. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think the thought process behind it, the thought process behind it is what it really is today. You know, we can spend all of our Black dollars wherever we choose, but we cannot. They will not see us as a unit, as being unified. They're not going to do anything to, you know, we have to do that ourselves, but we have to know that it's being done to us. You know, and if we don't know that it's being done to us, it'll never change. You know, the thought process is exactly what it was, to keep these people. We can't. The family, the Black community is strongest when the Black man is at home and it's a unified unit at home and they working together as a family and raising their kids. You know, that's just like basically any other family. At home, my grandma, my aunties, we all lived in the same house. You know, for me, even in the 80s, that was different. Me and my brothers and sisters was the only ones that had two parents at home. Not just grandma and auntie, but my dad was there too, and it made a difference. You know, and so the further down this go down this road in time, we not putting it together. It's not coming back together. We're not even trying to. We so separated with all of these little small fires. They big things, but they all small fires. We're not seeing the real problem is that as a unit, there's no Black family unit, not like it should be, you know. And that's just my opinion.
Like it once was, right?
And from my perspective, another reason I wanted to exclusively highlight the ladies is because it's a lot of young men growing up, and you know, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, or we don't have to embrace it. We have to, like you said, address the problem that's in front of us. Sisters are angry, and this is not what you guys are. Y'all angry, y'all selfish. You know, for lack of a better term, you don't want to listen to nobody, and that's the way you guys are presented to the world. You know, you don't see elegant, intelligent sisters who are willing to work together with anybody on television. So it's a lot of young Black men that's growing up with the B's and the H's, and I'm a bad bee, and that's another reason I wanted to celebrate the sisters and not just put us in a situation to whereas we're just get going along to get along. So
Right.
that's another reason I want to just celebrate the sisters, because in my opinion as a man, I don't know how you guys survive, but in my world, black men are celebrated all the time. You know who Julian Bond is. You know who Andrew Young is. From my perspective, I don't see a lot enough of the sisters. And the reason I want to do this is because I was raised by a single woman, and she didn't get no damn credit. Ain't nobody going around talking about the Dolores and how and that did this. And my grandmother and my dad's mom, who who raised her 8, 9 kids, and then helped raise her younger sisters and brothers, and brought them up to Chicago one at a time from Tuskegee. And that's why I wanted to say, hey man, we need to celebrate the sisters. And we're gonna talk about the history. We're gonna celebrate the sisters too. That's why I had y'all on here. With that being said, we're gonna go Benita, Rhonda, then you, John. Who's your favorite sister in Black history?
Mine's Harriet Tubman. And that's because, but first I want to say thank you for taking time out to celebrate us. I appreciate that. And also, you're right. Our social media image is, we're not winning there as well as we should be. And I do not think that it's an accurate portrayal of us at all. And so I appreciate you setting up this forum, because it is a more honest portrayal about who we are as people. We love you all. We want to work together, and we want to have an honest conversation. So to answer your question about who is my favorite Black woman in history, mine is Harriet. And yeah, she's one that's been spoken about a lot. But the reason that she's my favorite is because her nickname is Moses. And my mother, when I was a kid growing up, she said that God spoke to her, and he said that, or God shared with her that all of her children, or all of these special people in her life, represent different characters in the Bible, and mine is Moses. So in her ministry and her struggle, it just always spoke to me, like the way she was trying to lead other people along the way. And it seems like that's something that I've been doing since I was 8 years old. It's a constant, like, come on y'all, let's get this, let's have these escape meetings, let's stop playing around, let's take this seriously.
Mhm.
So that's me. Who's next? Rhonda?
Me?
Okay. Hey,
I
sis.
know. I was asking. I didn't.
Yeah, go ahead, sis. It's your turn.
Actually, this is somebody that I learned about this week, and I had absolutely no idea. But her name is Mary Kenner, and she was an inventor who invented the sanitary belt. I had absolutely no clue who she was. I had never heard of her until somebody sent me some information. And not only did she invent the sanitary belt, but she had because of racial discrimination, her patent was prevented for 30 years. But in her life, she had 5 patents for the toilet paper holder, the back washer that you mount in the bathroom on the wall, and then a carrier attachment for a walker after her sister developed MS. I had never heard of this woman. So I'm like, oh my goodness, because of course younger, I'm like, okay, what man thought of this? But no, I like knowing, that a woman actually came up with this. Because when I was younger, my grandmother had the belt, so did my mom. And we just, elevated from that belt to, where it is now. But yeah, I was very impressed by that. Very impressed by that.
Well, thanks for sharing. I never heard of her either. Yeah, that's new to me.
And you're helping me, because to your point about reading, I have to read more and learn more and become more educated, because I had no idea. So thank you.
I could say I don't have like just one particular favorite. I will say, like you, Harriet was definitely one of my favorites because of her strength. You know, she wore so many different hats. Um, Her love, she came. She didn't have to go back. You know, she was just a phenomenal woman, especially in those times. You know, very inspirational. Like you said, let's plan these escapes. Let's we got to get out of here. Don't turn back. Don't turn around. Just keep going. And then another one was the Maya Angelou. You know, her poetry always, even as a child, made me feel good. You know, it made me feel inspired, encouraged. You know, by the Cage Bird sings, I could identify with some of, you know, the growing pains of being a young black lady. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I got to high school, you know, to a high school area in Chicago, it was racist, just extra, you know, they spit on you crossing the street kind of racist, you know. So, yeah, but in general, all us black women, you know, just for the struggles that we come through and our strength and courage, and especially when we can uplift each other, you know. So, I say, you know, happy Black History to all women, all black women, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. It's so many that I couldn't nail it down to one. But what I will do is I say Fannie Lou Hamer, because Fannie Lou Hamer was in Mississippi, and this is when she was dealing with the Dixie
Mhm.
crack.
Mhm.
So she infiltrated. She did what we need to start doing with the Republican Party at this point. She infiltrated the Dixiecrats. Her and some of her people moved in. They took over, and it's the party of the black people now, air quotes. But when you have the intestinal fortitude to say, you know what,
Mhm.
I'm down here in Mississippi lynching my brothers and my sisters, and y'all doing all this, but I'm gonna come inside, I'm gonna move people out the way, and I'm gonna get exactly what I'm looking for. You have to respect Fannie Lou Hamer, because without Fannie, it's a whole lot of things that wouldn't have happened. You know, it's an easy pick, but I mean, everybody we said is an awesome person. So for us to have this many awesome people to look up to is a privilege in itself.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
Absolutely.
It is very hard. I
Mhm.
remember for many years, like Shirley Chisholm was my favorite. And I remember like All in Love with Asada and
Mhm.
Angela Davis. You know, I've had a lot of favorites over the years, but one that's been consistent is Harriet. I think that's the reason why I picked her.
okay. How do you guys want to see black women represented? You can take y'all, whoever takes the lead, take the lead at this point.
I would like to
I
see
like
us
to.
in a more positive, you know. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh,
Did you want to go?
I'm curious now about what you was gonna say. You like to see
Go
us in a
ahead.
more positive.
Oh, yeah. I just want to see us in a more positive light, not just in the media, but even with each other. You know, I hate the way women we dog each other sometimes. Care, and I think it come back to a self reflection, caring for ourselves. You know, I would like us to feel prouder of ourselves and have more um just we just got to do better.
We
You
do.
know, like for us, if we can treat each other better, you know, if our black men can treat us better, you know, we just need to be shown in a more positive light. Our love needs to be shown. Our intelligence needs to be shown. We shouldn't just be seen as angry all the time,
Right.
confrontational, or you know, because we that's not who we are. We're more than.
Benita?
Yeah, I would like to see all those stereotypes demystified. That would be real nice. Um, like we not hoes, we not promiscuous, we not angry, we not.
Exactly.
And the sad thing is that each and every time that we get labeled angry, it's something that somebody has the right to be angry for.
Right.
You know, anger is a feeling that everyone, if you're human, you've experienced it, and there's no reason why you should not have the right to experience that. So I agree with you there. I also would like to see us, decrease that competition between us sisters. I agree with you there too. Very good points. I Matter of fact, I agree with you all on a lot of the things that you've said here. The thing that comes to mind though for me the most is our relationship with black men. Like, I wish that more of that, when we're doing that in a positive light, was showcased. We used to maybe say in the 80s or 70s, we had a lot more, even if it wasn't real love, it was faux love, like in videos and stuff like that. And I'd like to see more of that come out. And I think it's still there, but social media be lately, like on YouTube or any of the other social media platforms, seem to have this war between the brothers and the sisters, like a like the brothers seem to want this pie in the sky type of woman, and as if the women only are gold diggers, like we only want men with money, and that just seems what the image that seems to be portrayed. And it's sad that that's even portrayed. Yeah, it's portrayed in regular media, but to be portrayed in social media too, we're the ones telling that story in social. That's what social media is all about. It's about, you get the final opportunity to tell your story the way you want to tell your story, and this is the story you tell. Like, you're just repeating the same BS that's in social media, in regular media, like the news, or say the producers who allow the rap song to get through, like, because we know there's all kinds of beautiful rap music out there that doesn't ever come out. It's just that's what they promote. So I would love for that to happen, for us to celebrate each other and work well with each other. And this last little point that I would like to make about how I like for us to be seen as the true wonderful mothers that we are. Because I know a lot of times that we're perceived as these women who just want child support, the pay to play type of women. And if you don't do this, then you can't see your child. And yeah, there's some of that going on. But I think that there's a lot of it that where there's mothers who are working really hard to try and make sure that their children get an opportunity to build with their fathers. And before the defenses start getting put up between men and women who are fathers and mothers, before they start putting up defenses, I would like for them to work together, because the child is the one who suffers, in the end. And so just being able to put aside petty differences to love on our children, I'd like to see that too.
Rhonda?
I agree with everything that both of you said. And I think one of the things to me that needs to start is we need to try to figure out where this all started, with this self-hate and, hating or disliking our brothers and sisters, because that's not where we started from. That's not where we came from. Even when it comes to raising the children, I remember my grandmother was always there, my grandmother and my grandfather. And there was, even if we came from a time when, even if your parents weren't home, or your mom or your dad weren't home, or your grandparents weren't home, and you did something wrong, the neighbor across the street or down the street saw you, they knew what you did, and you were still going to be disciplined. Either they were going to, have a conversation with you. Your parents wouldn't like that. Your grandparents wouldn't like that. And then when you got home, because they were going to tell it, and when you got home, you got it when you got home. But then at some point that changed, and it became, the neighbor telling the mom, okay, or your parents, this is what your child did, I saw them, then you can't tell me about my child. And it became a defense. So we stopped working, it stopped being the village to raise the kids, and it became, this person is out for herself, don't tell me about my child. And then it's just this animosity that came about. And it's like, seriously, where did this come from? I think to the point about us, loving each other. And I've seen it where we as Black women, we will look at each other up and down, and we would choose to roll our eyes at each other instead of greeting each other, instead of complimenting each other. And it's like, really, where did this come from? How did we get to this point? Even with and I just call it Black love. When people post things on social media, even though I don't comment on everything, but just to see a beautiful Black couple showing their love and showing their truth, because it's not all peaches and cream. There are going to be ups and downs, but as long as you get through them together, and you show that this is possible, this, you can attain this. But unfortunately, it's the white man's standard of beauty who that we can blame for a lot of the issues when it comes to relationships. Some brothers who only want, a light-skinned, long-haired woman or a white woman. And it's like, okay, or, being disrespectful towards a woman. Why? You came, like Tupac said, you came from a woman. So how are you disrespecting this woman? So I think the values that we had when we were younger, when we had Big Mama and Granny either in the house or, by telephone, all of that, we need to get back to that. We need to get back to that place. There needs to be healing, to me, with us as women, then with the brothers, and then we can come together and heal and move forward. I think it's possible. It's just, putting in the effort, putting in the work, and knowing that this isn't something that we can fix, resolve, or heal overnight.
Oh, well, those are and I really I can't add anything to it because it's an awesome situation. It's a situation to whereas when again, I'm a firm believer. Some people don't agree, Michelle. I think women are truly the pace setters, and you can see it in African lore when the queen mothers actually pick a king. So I think until we get back to our foundation, we're gonna continue to struggle because we have to create these images. And as far as those people in the neighborhood that start doing that, I always say those are the people who thought their parents were picking on them. Don't tell me about my kids because you thought your mother was picking on you when she punished you for whatever you did. You didn't realize that your mother was doing what she had to do to ensure that you were going to see tomorrow. Right. A lot of people say you shouldn't spank your kids and things of that nature. You know what? I'm a person who is a bit almost out with an iron fist. And now at 50, with my youngest child only had 2 kids, my youngest being 23, oldest being 27, that I should have found a happy medium. So it's just a situation to whereas until we get right with the sisters, and I understand exactly where Benita's coming from, but I'm telling you, it's nothing like being dog ass tired and somebody just to be like, yeah, hey, how you doing? So, again, Benita, I totally get it now after you reframed it, or I actually listened. But I think the sister needs to be elevated because, and I think that needs to come from within the community. Again, I'm not talking about white-facing media, and that's what framed that question. Until the brothers start elevating the women instead of the B's and the H's, as my man, Brother Mike Neal says at Black Love on every Saturday. Come in, hang out with us today, Black Love people, and just a couple hours actually. But until we start elevating the sisters, we're going to continue to do this thing over and over and over again. I sent y'all a question after I proofread it. I'm glad y'all didn't say, hey, Dummy, what is this next question? But it's about the feminist movement. What role does the feminist movement play in our community? Sean, Benita, Rhonda. If any.
The feminist movement. I mean, I guess in my mind, maybe it kind of detracted away from the Black community. It kind of divided the fight. That's basically, I think it kind of divided our fight. Whereas we need to be fighting to reunite, as a community, as a whole, Black community, family units, Black family units, we need to be fighting for those things. And I think that it came in at an opportune time to take us from, from what we needed as a community.
Okay. Benita?
I absolutely, totally agree. I don't think that there is, I'm trying to remember the question exactly the way you put it, but where's the role of the feminist movement in the Black community? And I think they're a destructive, like what is the role of them? I think it's a destructive a destructive force. That's what I think it is. Like, it has literally a broken home. Like, just imagine this. Both parties are working their ass off to bring home whatever they could. Both parties have an equal footing as far as finances, or, you know, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't see where the black man was winning that much over the black woman.
Right.
So for the black woman to turn around and say
Right.
to her counterpart, the black man, I want to make as much as you make, and I want to be equal, and I want equality. She already had it. So what was the fight about? And so the fight wasn't against the black woman and the black man, but it definitely helped to break that down, destroy it, hurt it. The fight was, and I really don't even think that the feminist movement, that the fight is the white woman against the white man. I think that it seriously was the whole entire thing. You know, I'm one of these conspiracy theorists, so I don't know, maybe it's BS, but in my head, you can't tell me that it's not. I really think the whole thing was created just to break down the black family. Because when I sit at a table at work with white, they don't ever complain. They bragging. They sitting at the table bragging about their husbands. They like, oh yeah, my husband this, my husband this, my husband that. Never does she say my husband makes more money and I'm pissed about it. If he makes more money, she happy and she going home to that really plush life that he has put together for them and their family. She is not one bit of mad that she's only making 70 cents for his dollar. Now, they may be out there doing some rallies or something like that, or they might be complaining about it, you know, I don't know, somewhere. But the reality is, I think it was just something that was literally created. Like if the Margaret Singers, you know, those kind of people, that's where that movement came. You know, the kind of females who were like sewing the clan ropes. Those who came up with the feminist movement. So I'm not for it. I'm against it, and I don't trust it, and I think that it has absolutely no place, none whatsoever. I mean, if you guys want to do that, if the white woman wants with them and their men, go ahead, take it. You can have it, but nah, don't ask me to join it.
Before you go, Ron, I want to thank everybody in the chat room, both chat rooms on Spreaker.com as well as on YouTube. Thank you. Please, if you can, hit the link, hit the like button, hit the share button on both platforms, especially on YouTube. Hit the like button and the share button. It helps us grow. And again, this is Built for This Network. I am HRap. This is Building the Story on the show called The End of the Bench. Proceed, please, Rhonda.
You know, I never thought about it until the divisiveness. I never thought about it until listening to you ladies right now, because now that you're talking about it, it's like we were already fighting for a level or an equal playing field. But then when you bring in this feminine movement, the government is intentionally trying to divide us, you know, as a Black family, even more than what we, you know, already are, because your spouse, your mate, whatever, she's at home trying to, you know, take care of kids and take care of household while you're out fighting the struggle. And then all of a sudden, here's someone that comes in and saying, oh, but you need to be out there too, because you're not equal to him. You all aren't on the same page. So they're creating these unnecessary issues or added issues into your household. I never thought of that. Thank you, ladies. No, we didn't need any other challenges or issues at home.
Well, see, and in addition to that, we worked. So black women were like, both of them, they was getting up, they was leaving, they was both going to work. Like the story of Rosa Parks, she's a seamstress, right? She wasn't like at home chilling, okay, honey, I'll see you later. No, she had to, you know, she was doing everything. And then in addition to that, she had more education than he did. So that story of us, like them winning over us, like we was both working our asses off. Like the guy, they would be the seamstress, and even if she was at home taking care of kids while he went out to work, then she was ironing,
cleaning, washing, exactly.
But no, hold on, sis. The ironing was not only for their family. She was ironing to then turn around and and sell that. You know what I'm saying? She had like little at-home businesses, like little side hustles. There was the black woman was bringing something in, and the black man was bringing something in. That was a unified contribution since slavery. And like and then or the other
that kind of go back. No, go ahead.
Oh, real quick, I was gonna say, like, you know how they try to divide us between like the house and the field,
right?
And then, you know, in the house, they were like rolling that glass out real fine, teeny tiny, to put in the food so Master could die slowly. You know, there's like we were working together, soldiers, and I just would love to see us get back to that. Go ahead, sis. I'm sorry.
Great point. Thank you.
No, I was just, that just made me think about, you know, what you were saying as far as the roles of black women versus the white women, and it was just, I'll go back to an earlier question that we were talking about, and our expectations were different. So our life was harder, you know, especially not so maybe so much as to compare to the black man, but definitely compared to the white woman. We was expected to go out and work and take care of the kids and take care of the house, and where the white woman could just take care of the kids and cook, or she might have had a maid, and we was probably the damn maid, you know, excuse me my language, you know. So I don't know. That just crossed my mind as you was talking. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Just to piggyback on that, hey Sean, you had to take care of their damn kids too. That wasn't no damn maid. You was the maid and the babysitter and the midwife and everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, just to add on to that, and then the reason for this question is really, I lost a good friend because she used to always say she was a feminist. She was a feminist. She was a feminist. And I was like, you black. And she used to, I'm still a feminist. And I was like, yeah. Where was the feminist movement when Trayvon Martin mama was out there crying?
Right.
And Mike Brown mama was out there crying. And go on and on. I say, where were they at? So do you remember the day that 54% of them voted for Donald Trump and then had a meeting the next day, and Tamika Mallory and those sisters who organized the sisters, they didn't even know about this million woman march the next day? I said, what was the feminist movement then? So that's why I even asked this question. It's like, man, knock it off. You know, we ain't got no time to be fighting y'all fight and our fight. We gonna fight our fight. Once I get like your grandma, you say, clean up your own damn house, and then we gonna help somebody else.
Right.
So it really, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was glad to let her go. You know, she's a cool girl. I've been knowing her for years. But when I went, you know, we can't be friends no more. You know, two fingers, one word. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. You know, but you know, it's just that feminist thing. It just sticks a dagger in my heart. With that being said, how hard is it being a black woman, Rhonda, Benita, Senator?
Well, I think we've touched on this in one of your other questions, because when we walk into a room, it's, you know, okay, here comes an angry black woman. But to Benita's point, what are we angry about? You don't know what happened this morning or 5 minutes ago before I walked in the room, the reason why I have this look on my face. I love being a black woman. I'm a beautiful, intelligent black woman. Thanks to Benita, I need to do some more reading. But, you know, depending on the room you walk in, it's challenging. It's challenging because, like I said, going, you know, with corporate America, I think that's one of the places where I've seen it the most. That's a little disheartening, because I don't care what, you know, Becky Sue has on, Rhonda can't walk in there like that. You know, Rhonda can't walk into work with the wrinkled pants and the wrinkled shirt and hair looking, you know, crazy. Rhonda has to be to the nines. But it took one of my mentors, who was a sister, well polished, loved her, still love her to this day. She made a point of saying to me, you know, they don't like when we come in wearing makeup every day. Why? I didn't understand that. I mean, I was like 20-some years old. But I'm sorry, watching my grandmother go to Children's Memorial Hospital, she put on makeup every day. My mother put on makeup every day to go to work. So that's something that I knew about. That's something that I was conditioned. So, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But it's like, like they said, it's like we have to work 10 times harder, just to compete with their laziness, because they're just skating by. But we have to work 10 times, 50 times harder to get, the recognition. And it's just, especially in corporate America, it's a little aggravating. It's a little frustrating. Since George Floyd's murder, it's, well, we want to have these diversity and inclusion sessions, and we want to know how you feel. And no, you don't. You don't want to know how I feel, because just like me, you'd have to look at yourself in the mirror and own how you behaved, own the things that you said, own the things that you've done. So it's difficult. It's difficult.
Benita?
Oh, Lord, sis. I think difficult is like an understatement. It's, and I'm not saying that to disagree with what you're saying. I completely agree with everything you're saying, sis. And I guess it depends on the room. Like this room right here, man, being Black is beautiful, right? Being Black is easy.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely love being a Black woman. Like if I woke up and looked in the mirror and I was somebody different, I wouldn't like that. I would scream, I would holler, and I'd be searching the world trying to find where's Benita.
Right.
I though when the conversation is about racism or diversity, oh, that's very easy for me. I can have those conversations with other Black people. When I have to have it with other white people, it just feels like I'm light years ahead of them. I'm like tiring sometimes, maybe sometimes a little exhausting. Sometimes I feel like, okay, here we go again.
Right.
And then sometimes I feel like you just don't get it. You just don't get it. And it's so refreshing when you run into some white people who do get it, and they at least want to, or they have like, and they sincerely really want to, and they like, oh, okay, well, let's hear what you really have to say. Every now and then you run into like that, but for most part, it's a facade of some kind. Yeah, and it gets hard when so like it just depends on the room. I'm sorry, it just depends on the room. It just depends on the room. It's there's some rooms where it's way more difficult than others, and it all boils down to white supremacy. Not being able to do. Go ahead, sis.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It's white supremacy, male chauvinism. Like it's a whole lot that go with us being Black women, and it's rough. I've worked in the corporate world. I didn't went and re-educated and re-educated and re-educated, to try to the proverbial coming up. I'm trying to come up and get better and do better. And it just seemed like no matter especially in the corporate setting, no matter how hard I tried, I always had to just do like 1,000% more. I had to just be the best if I was to get that little bit of raise, or, and then once I got it, now I'm being looked at a certain way, and now I gotta damn near do the president's job to keep my job going just to get a little bit more recognition. So it's been rough. I've been to school so many times for so many different things, and then I can think about times where I walked in someplace with the experience, with the education, with the credentials to say I can do this job, and because it was a male, white, dominant position, not only did I get passed around 3 times in the interviews, like, oh, we're going to send you over here to the general manager, or we'll send you to this person. Nobody wanted to hire for that job. It did not matter. And people, and the crazy thing is, a buddy of mine who is part Arab and part Puerto Rican, so he looks more fair skinned. We went for the same position. He had less credentials, and they still gave him that job. So that's the type of thing as a Black woman that I've been dealing with all my life. You know, I'm happy to say now I just work from home and I don't even have to deal with none of that. You know, like I just do me. You know, but
Right.
yeah, it's been rough.
And again, that's why I wanted to do this because again, man, just from a man perspective, I just think women, sisters. No disrespect to the white sisters, but that ain't my fight. But it's just I think sisters are overlooked. Sisters, Malcolm X said 50 years ago, 55 years ago, black women are the most disrespected species on the face of the earth. And to Benita's point, I think that's no longer the case. We got to stop doing this, and we got to start doing this, and then we turn to again. That's white facing media that we listening to what somebody else say about us, and then we're going with it. People who listen to my show in the past, y'all have heard me rail and rail and rail about black on black crime. I don't believe that's a real thing. I'm a former criminal. I'm not a former criminal justice major. My degree is in criminal justice. So when I look at we at 91% and everybody else is no longer lower than 89, that makes me normal. And when you got redlining and things of that nature, that means we're super normal. You force me. Think about it like this: you force me to live in this box. Well, of course, me and the people in that box are going to fight. But if you have free reign around the world and you still are just as bad as me, you're actually worse. So again, that's why I want to let sisters be seen, intelligent, beautiful sisters be seen in front of the whole world. Because we are built for this network on Spreaker.com. We got an international following. So people are gonna hear this all over the world, people are gonna see this all over the world, and they're gonna be able to respect the fact that every black woman ain't y'all referring to each other as sis, not the other word that they sing be and nah, we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that other magic word. I'm slowly but surely working that out of my vocabulary as well. And shout out to Ed Lover for saying that. He said, "You know how hard it is to punch somebody in the face if you call them brother."
Wow.
He said you'll be upset with them, but you're not quick to punch them in the face. And you're definitely not gonna shoot him. So shout out to Ed Lover for that. The second to the last question, we're gonna go Seneca, we're gonna go Benita, we're gonna go Rhonda, is how can we change that if at all?
The culture has to change. You know, the culture where we embracing the negative music, the negative stereotypes, the calling each other the B word. That all of that culture has to change. We got to embrace it with love. Only hard work and love. That's the bottom line. If we not loving each other, it's not gonna never change. If we not trying to educate each other, and open our minds and educate and love our children, it's not gonna change. I wish it would change, but that's what it's going to take. It's going to take all of us to be willing to even embrace it. Some people like the status quo, and so for those, though, it take people to try to break down those barriers to their status quo culture.
Okay. Benita?
Certainly, I'm going to add to that, definitely not take away. I'm in agreement with what Sis said. I would like to also add that we celebrate each other. I don't want to take anything away from this. Like, I don't want to say, oh, we need to work together, we need to work together, we need to work together so much that I'm saying, no, don't celebrate us. No. I absolutely am in support of you and the other brothers celebrating us. I think that what we need to do is just continue to celebrate each other. Like the part of me and what I am saying and what I'm bringing to the table is I honor your celebration of me and my sisters and all the other sisters on earth by celebrating you and all the other brothers as well. And I think that that's one of the ways to get there, is that we celebrate each other. That if we are in company with sisters and they talking bad about brothers, that we kind of check it and we say no. Or if we hear the gossipy things from one sister to the other, or the competitiveness, we celebrate each other. And in addition to celebrating each other, that we provide a sense of humility with it. So then when we are celebrated, we don't be like, yeah, that's right, that's how it's supposed to be. I am that, Like when you say, hey, I want to celebrate you, I say, thank you, and I celebrate you too. and bring a sense of humility to it. Like, we're all here on earth. We all need each other. None of us are an island. It really, really bothers me when I hear phrases like, I don't need a man. That bothers me so much. Because if I studied your life and I observed you for every minute of the day, eventually I'm gonna see a point in time when you needed a man, right? And so I don't want to ever hear any of my fellow sisters say that, and I don't want to hear brothers say that about us as women. I think that's a very degrading thing to us as a people. You don't hear other, not that we're in competition with other races, but races that are getting along and making good progress and building, and like you said, built for this network. When people are building and networking, they're not making statements like, I don't need you. So celebrating each other in a humble way and recognizing that we are not an island and we need each other.
Ron, amen. I wish I had my sign.
Absolutely.
I still got them up. I'm gonna give you a round of applause on that. Go ahead, Rhonda.
I agree with both of the sisters and what they're saying. And when I wrote down the question, the first thing that I wrote down as my answer was each one teach one. We have to teach each other. We have to, as Black women, we have to teach each other how to treat each other. Because if we don't, and I've said this on B's show before, if we don't respect each other as Black women, how can we expect somebody else to respect us? Each one teach one. When it comes to the brothers, we have to teach them how to respect us. And it's, when we can respect each other, we can grow together and build together. We can't hold on to all the knowledge and we're just going to keep it for ourselves. I'm not going to share this information. I'm not trying to help anybody else. I'm all about self. That's not how we're going to get anywhere. That's not how we're going to grow. We all have to teach each other and build it and grow it together.
With that being said, my last question of the evening. I totally agree with all you ladies. And salute to all of you. As a Black woman, how do you see our future? We're gonna go Rhonda. We're gonna go Benita. You know what? We're gonna go Rhonda, Seneca. Benita, you close out, because the reason I want you to close out is because I want you to promote your show tomorrow. Rhonda, Seneca.
I see our future. Our future can be bright if we, again, continue to teach each one teach one. But then I also think we have to come together during the good times and the bad times. Since George Floyd's murder, we were out there in droves supporting across this country. But when it comes to, just everyday life or, just something positive, we can't do that. It's always a group of us. There were thousands of us out marching and protesting and, speaking up against this man who lost his life. But then when the dust settles, there's several people here in Chicago. People post different things where you have several people of color that are missing. They've been missing for days. Okay, where's the protesting and the marching then? Since we've been working from home, the numbers for domestic violence have gone up. Where is the protesting and the marching for these women or these men, depending on what's going on in our households? So I think our future is bright. I'm optimistic, but we have to be consistent. We can't just march and protest when, life happens from a negative standpoint. We have to march and protest and speak up for the positive things as well.
I'm pretty optimistic about our future. Like she said, we have to celebrate each other. We have to be able to break down some of our fears and our walls with each other. Take the time to educate each other, educate ourselves, show love in our community. Black women show love to each other. Black men show love to each other. Love our families, and just, keep striving to be better and do better. you know, and we have to, you know, try to maybe make more opportunities for ourselves and for each other, you know, more, I don't mean like segregate us from the world, but, you know, more support, you know, more support with our businesses, our black owned businesses, or, you know, just whatever we're trying to do, we have to embrace it more. We got to embrace each other more.
Benita?
Is the question about the future? Like, what are we gonna do for our future?
Or how do you see the future playing out?
Future's so bright, I gotta wear shades. I guess it depends on how you look at it, you know. Like Sister Sin saying, you know, Sister Sean say, if we doing a optimistic viewpoint, then I can see us having justice, dismantling white supremacy, and us having a just life, and us getting along, and everybody just, you know, sharing and growing and balancing out with the people. And then if not, at the very least, you know, maybe a group of us can get some land and have a, you know, live off the grid or something like that, you know, get some solar panels and some gardens and some fishing poles. And yeah, I guess we can, it depends, you know, it just kind of depends on how far we can go with this and whether or not we're gonna keep working at it. You know, yeah, we're all Fannie Lou Hamer tired, but are we really, really tired? Like, are we so exhausted that we quit? And that's one thing I think, that if we don't quit and we don't just assimilate and we don't just accept it, like even the struggle doesn't have to be a fight. You know, I mean, what I mean by that is there's ways of resisting without doggone drag out, killing each other, fight, right? You can, and the reason why I know it to be true is because we're here on earth today. If the only way for us to struggle this, the only way for us to work through this, the only way to get justice was for us to literally fight, we'd be dead. Like we the four of us on this panel, we wouldn't be here today. Our people, our ancestors, just like this on my shirt, you know, all these little bodies right here that came across the slavery Atlantic trade, right? All of that. They were strategic rebellion people. They were strategically rebellious people. They were the kind of people who was like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. I'm gonna work out a plan for that. I'm not gonna fight exactly, but I'm gonna work out a plan, because if they fought, then they would have died. They all would have died. So we come from a people who have strategic plans, and we need to keep doing that. We need to keep having strategic plans. We need to work towards our whatever our plan is going to be, whether we get into small groups and we have a just nation within the small groups, or we figure out ways of having just across like the radio waves, or however we do it. But like I say, either way, the future is bright. Oh, and about my show. Well, a couple brothers and I, we started this thing called Shy Rise a couple years ago before the COVID. And now that has broken off, and the brothers have started this thing called the Collective Perspective. And they've asked me to come on and be a part of their collective perspective. And so we're going to have the conversations with Benita, and it's going to be, they're going to stream it on one of their YouTube pages. My brother who's going to stream it, his name is Ernest L. Johnson, if anybody's friends with him on YouTube. But you can also find it if you look up things like the Collective Perspective, or if you look up Shy Rise. Shy Rise, we've done some different shows. You can find that wherever you find podcasts. Or I've also done a show called One Drop Elopes. So that's it. So.
All right. First and foremost, I want to thank you ladies for being on here. Thank you for helping me expand my platform here on Build for This Network and on Spreaker.com and on YouTube. The End of the Bench is my brand, but I am part of a greater collective, which is me, #1 Chief Rapper Jersey Brown, Lisa, Big Illinois, DJ Mad Knox, Cheers Roundtree, and my man Mooka Dean. If I James Earl, if I forgot your name, please inbox me and say, "Hey, dummy, you forgot my name," but I didn't do it on purpose. But with that, oh yeah, I did forget somebody who just texted me, Joe from Houston, who's on one of my damn shows. So I really feel like a dummy now. But with that being said, man, thank y'all for all support. Thank you, ladies. I want to thank everybody in the chat room. I suck at the chat room, y'all. Y'all know I suck at the chat room, but Big Illinois, Chief Rocker, DJ Mad Knox, Joe from Houston, first Chicago's first lady, D Great, my man John, Irene, Ben for BS3, Chuck, Kirby, everybody, Deacon Dale, thank y'all for the support. I suck at the chat room. I told y'all I really suck at it, so please forgive me. It's not that, Black Swan, and everybody in the background who chose not to create a profile or come and talk in the chat room. Thank you guys as well. Please continue to support us. I got my man Raider tomorrow. D tomorrow evening with the Love Jones. Raider just gives his perspective on the world. D Great tomorrow night. Love Jones Monday morning. You got the number one Chief Rock and Jersey Burn. You got my man Ben from BS3. We have a collective show. Some brothers sharing their opinions on the myriad of things. We're gonna talk about Valentine's Day Monday and the significance. So tune into that. I send you the people who support me. I send you guys the link. Tune in Monday, Tuesday morning. My man Michael Wade. Tuesday afternoon, DJ Mad Knox. Me, Joe, Big Illinois. Tuesday evening, Tuesday night, you got Rare Beauty. After Rare Beauty go off, you got New Max Radio with Mandela Young and QT. You got my man Deacon Dale, all the way from the Gaza Strip on Wednesday. D-Great Wednesday morning for the Gaza Strip. My man Deacon Dale, DJ Mad Knox Thursday, Chief Rocker, the Sports Therapy in the morning. DJ Mad Knox in the afternoon. My man Mandela Young in the evening. DJ Mad Knox Microwave Friday morning. Knox Friday night. Late nights with Big Illinois. Afternoon, Deacon Dale and DJ Purpalicious. And 166 hours, 167 and a half hours from now, I will be back with another panel. We will continue to celebrate our history. With the continued celebration of our history. We can celebrate our history 365 days a year. And thank you for tuning in. This is your man HRap. 2 fingers, 1 word. Y'all know how I end every show by paying homage to Reggie O'Shea and saying, dream those dreams and man up a woman up and live those dreams, because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in technicolor surround sound. Again, ladies, gentlemen, haters, and bitter friends, have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Y'all have a good night.